That's fine.
Yeah.
Let me record. I'm myself recording this. Okay. That's fine. Like, let's start. So, oops. So, basically, it is object oriented programming. So, there are like several concepts are there into the Java. So, you can see the list of the topics here, which are all covering as part of the oops. So basically, like Java is the one like now, which is a class based. So there will be template will be there for the class, and class is having the defined structure, and there are certain objects will be there for creating that class, and that will be having like multiple methods and variables, and there's a proper structure for it. So whenever you'll compile Java, so there will be bytecode will be generated for that. So that will be that class file. Okay, so if you see for the OOPS basics, we can see several concepts starting from abstraction, encapsulation, inheritance, polymorphism, association, aggregation, composition. So if you see high level, the first four are the one core topics actually. So these are like no internally linked one like association, aggregation, composition. Okay, so we'll go through each one by one. So first when it comes for this objects and classes. Okay, so what is the class and what is object? So I would like to differentiate between these two. So class is nothing but the blueprint. So it's a template actually for the objects. Okay, that will be having like no set of objects and instance variables and set of methods. So everything will be present in that. So it's a kind of like structure like which will be defining the data types and instance members. I mean class members. So everything will be part of it. So object is nothing but an instance of that particular class. So if you take that real-time example, so let's take like there is a one construction like no, if you want to build one house, what we'll do? First, we'll go and get the plan, right? Is this fine like English or you want like no translation is required? Please let me know.
I think English is fine because you have to. We want to know communication. How we have to.
Yeah, if anybody is having the problems, like you can ping personally. So in between, like I can add. Okay.
Okay.
So once the topic is covered, I can translate in Telugu very shortly. Okay,
Okay.
feel free. You can ping me personally, like so. If somebody wants to translate into Telugu, okay, don't hesitate. Please feel free. Okay. So the class is nothing but let's take once we have decided to construct an house. What we'll do? First, we'll go and get the plan. Correct, right? So that is a blueprint. That is called the class here actually. And based on that class, I mean blueprint, the actual construction of the house happens. So if you see here, the blueprint is treated as a class. So that's just the template, like so how it is going to be. So that is a class, and the actual house is the one object. So if you see for single class, there can be multiple objects can be present. So that's where same like so single blueprint of the house. I mean the planning we can construct like no multiple houses. So it's a kind of as a real time like we can correlate. So what is the object and what is the class? Okay, the class defines the type of the data that will be held in an object. So what it will do is, so if you see the blueprint, like you can see, okay, there is a one bedroom and one kitchen and one bathroom. So, and there's a hall. So these are all the things you can see in the blueprint. So once the construct has been done and the house is ready, we can see all these things in the house, means in the object. So class will be having the type of the data. So actually the object is holding. Okay. So that's where same here. The type of data that will be held in an object. Okay. Basically it is nothing but the code actually. The code for the methods of the object. So objects are defined within the, I mean methods are defined within the object scope. So if you create like no, there will be methods, there is a code will be there. Okay. So if you want to use an class, you must instantiate. Okay, either if you want to call some particular function in some class, or if you want to access some variable within the class. So to do anything or to access anything within the class, you have to go through via the object. Okay. And there may be many objects for a single class. Like, so class A is there. So for that particular class, you can create like no n number of objects. A of A equal to new A of A1 is equal to new A of A2 is equal to new A. So like that, like we can create like no n number of objects for that single class. So this is basically like how the object and what is the class. Okay. Then before going for the core concepts, so there is a constructors. There's a topic. So we'll see like what is the significance of it. Okay. Now we have discussed that there can be object will be created for a particular class. So now we will see like how an object is created. So that we need to see that. So there are the ways basically we will use via the constructor. Okay. So whenever for creating an object for that particular class, we need to call the constructor of that particular class. Okay. And in Java, you no need to explicitly specify a constructor. Okay. If you're not specifying any constructor, there will be a default constructor. Okay. The syntax of that is, yeah, here is the one. So the name of the constructor is same as the class. Okay. If you take like class clock, for that particular class, if you want to create a constructor, so it should be the same name, and there should not be any return type, and only access specifier should be there. So we will discuss in some time what and all the like no access modifiers and non-access modifiers and all. So now here default we can take as public, protected, default, and private. Those are all the access modifiers in Java. Okay. So there can be either public or default. So anything can be there for the constructor. Okay. So that way, and if you want, while instantiating, we'll see like the type of constructors. Okay. Okay. There are types of constructors are there. Let me switch my screen. I will explain in detailed way. Okay. Definition already we have seen. What is a constructor and all. So there are some regulations are there, like already I have covered. So it should not have any written type. So, and also name of the construction must be the same as the name of the class. Okay. And these should not be treated as a members of the class. So members in the sense, those are part of the object creation. So those are treated as a members. Okay. And a constructor is called automatically when a new instance of an object is created. It's nothing but, so for creating an object, we'll be calling that particular constructor of that class. Okay. There are types of constructors are available in Java. So there are two types majorly, default constructor and parameterized constructor. So default constructor is nothing but there will not be any arguments. Okay. There are no arguments will be present. And if you won't define a constructor in the class, yeah, it is not required to define default constructor in a class, because in Java, every class means independent, individual concrete class is a subclass of the object class. So there is a one parent is there, that is the object class, which is present in java.lang. So which is the default is available. So that is a parent of all individual classes. So that will be having the default constructor in it. So we no need to explicitly specify in our class a default constructor. Okay. So, but we can call that. So what it happens is when we call a of a equal to new a, even though the default constructor is not defined in class A, it will go to the object class and that particular instantiation will be happening from there. Okay. That is the one thing. Yeah. How the structure looks is this one. Yeah. There's a class student is there. There are two fields I have defined. There's a one roll number and another is a student name. So how the default constructor looks is this one. Sorry. Yeah, student. So there are no arguments actually. Okay. Parameterized means So default means there are no parameterized. System.out.println constructor is called. Okay. How I will create object for that is, let's take class, my class. There's a one, there's a main method. Student object is equal to new student. So this is the way we'll create an object for the particular class. So if you want to create one more object, student object 2 is equal new student. So that will create another object. So this is the way how to define the default constructor and how to create the instance of that particular class. Okay. So as I mentioned before, default constructor no need to be specified explicitly. It is optional. But for a better practice, any class like whatever we'll create, we will define one default constructor. Okay. So there can be instantiation and anything can be done from that particular class. So now I think it's the same, like see how class student is there. So it's the same, like, so we can get like, if you want to print something, so there is a student is there. In the student, there is a name. So this field is there. As I mentioned before, if you want to access anything from that class, I need to access through the object. So what I have done here, student object is equal to new student I have created, and I'm using this instance obj.name. So I'm calling here the string name. Okay. This way, like, we will access all the class fields actually. And one more is the one parameterized constructor. Parameterized constructor means the major purpose is it to instantiate a particular class. So that is during the object creation. So you have seen like in the previous one, ID and name are there. Here also ID and name are there. So when I created before, what happens is, see, I have created here, but I did not instantiate the name here. If you see here, string name is there, but string name is equal to ABC or something. I did not give anything. So the instantiation did not happen. Means only object is created, but the field members are not instantiated. So that's why if when I call this obj.name, it is coming as null. Okay. Why? Because in any object, so whenever we are defining an object as instance variable, what Java will do, it will initiate with the default values. So for an object, default value is null. Okay. That's why you can see null here. In case of parameterized constructor, I'm instantiating means I'm initializing all my fields. Let's take int ID is there, string name is there. What I'm doing as part of my constructor, I'm initializing. So I'm passing two values here. I'm assigning those two, means ID and name I will get as part of this constructor. I will assign. So ID is equal to I, name is equal to N. So whenever object is created for this, now if I call this ID and name, the particular values will be set. If you see here, main method, I'm calling that student S1 is equal to new student, 100 and Varun. So what is happening here is I'm calling S1.display. What display is doing? Just it is printing ID and name. So this is a function, display function. It is nothing doing, just printing the ID and name. So what happens here? New student, 100 and Varun. So the call will come here. Student, 100 and Varun will come here. So integer first argument is ID. So ID will be assigned with 100 and name will be assigned with Varun. So when I print this S1.display, 100 Varun is there. It's the same thing for another S2 object I have created. I had given Alia and ID as 101. So when I print that, it is coming here. So the major difference if you observe in the default constructor, these fields are getting initialized with the default values. Means if it is an object, the default value is null. And if it is an integer, the default value is 0. Okay. But when it is a parameterized constructor, the core difference is I can initialize all my fields as part of this constructor. So as part of the object creation itself, I want to initialize all my fields. In that case, we'll go for the parameterized constructor. Okay. Is that clear? Any doubts in this? Constructor grouping, constructor and class and object. till now whatever we discussed. Please feel free to ask. Don't hesitate. Then only you can learn. Are you getting whatever I'm explaining? Hello.
Can you
Why?
please before one before parameterized constructor, what you said? Can you please go with that?
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
This one, right?
default.
Yeah,
Yes.
default in the sense I'm not initializing any values. Let me go for my Eclipse. I can explain you for you in a better way. Okay. Class. What will do? Just class A is there. Okay. Indian string name. Both are there. I'm not doing anything. Just like there's a plain class test main method. What I'm doing, fa equal to new a. Okay. So standard order println a dot n. Okay. And a dot name. Okay, clear? Let me execute this one. Run as. From configuration, so I need to change the settings. It is there as a Java thing. I mean Spring Boot. Let me see. I think I need to do some setups, some setting with my Eclipse.
Okay. No
It
issue.
is there with the
We
Spring
no
Boot
need.
configuration. Okay, fine. So what happens here is, if you see, whenever I'll print this one here, it will print
Okay.
as 0. It will print as null. Why? Because if you see in this class, I did not initialize my variables. Okay, means I did not assign any value for it. I just declared int n is there, string name is there. So I did not declare these things. That is the why those are present with the default things. So let me go with this one, parameterized int I string s. What I'm doing, n equal to I, name is equal to s. So as part of this constructor, I'm initializing my variables here. Means I'm assigning some value to this integer field and I'm assigning some name to this name field. So by that time, when I call here the same thing, f a1 is equal new of a 1 comma ram. Okay. When I call this one, what happens is call will go here. Okay. It will go here and what are the values you are passing here, those will get assigned here. Okay. When I call this same two things here, I will get one here. I will get Ram here because I have initialized my fields as part of my parameterized constructor. So if there is a requirement for you, you are having set of fields, you want those fields needs to get initialized as part of your constructor. Means these are random values. Even I can do something here. What I can do, I is equal to 1, I can do. Name is equal Ram, I can do here. You are getting? Sorry, N.
Yes, yes, I did.
Okay, this also same. Whatever I'm doing here, whatever I'm doing here, both same. So when I print here, one RAM will come. So the difference here is here you are hard coding. Means
Yes.
you know the values, you are handling
Yes.
it. But here,
Yes.
these are the dynamic.
Okay.
So as part of the code you are writing, you don't know those values. But when you want to pass these values dynamically, means, so there is some input is there for me. I need to get some input from someone. Okay. If you see in the UA logins and all, right, the Gmail is there, username and password is there, right? So
Oh,
those are the things which we give.
yes, yes, yes.
Okay, they will read those parameters, means that is a dynamic values actually. So it's always better not to hard code any value in your code. So you should always depending upon the dynamically. So that, because let's take now my requirement is a of a2 is equal to new a of now 2 comma balu. Okay, so now this time my requirement is to feed these values. So if you have been with this, you cannot change the values. You are getting the point, right? You cannot change the values. Once you are hard coded, it's every time the value remains the same. But when you go for the dynamic, so this works. So when I print now, this one, what will be here? 2 and Balu. So this will be my values here. So that's a flexibility we'll be having with the parameterized constructor. So the values, it can be dynamic, and if it is a dynamic, you can create the values whatever you require. In case of the static, you will not be having that flexibility. If you are hard coding every time, so how many times you call this? Let's take f a3 equal to new a. If I call this again, what happens is my value remains the same. So how many times you create the object for this, the values of that particular fields remains the same because you are hard coding. So what happens when you call this one? So JVM comes here, it will call this constructor, it will see here, initialize these two fields with these values. So one and RAM, you will not get, these things will not get changed because you are hard coded. Like how many times this constructor gets called, every time the values remains the same. Okay, that is where parameters constructor is benefiting compared with the default constructor. Okay, if you don't want any initialization here, you will initialize as part of separately. In that cases, you can go for the default constructor, or else you want to be instantiated as part of your constructor, then you can go for parameterized constructor. Is that clear? Any
Yes,
doubts?
I got it. Like we wherever we
Sorry, I lost you. Hello.
have this parameterized constructor, it is called. Hello.
Yeah, yeah,
Like we have to use mainly parameterized construction. It is better to use.
correct. If
Yes.
you want to be initialized your fields in such
Yes.
cases, always better to go for this. And
Oh,
in real time, what happens is if you want to go for default constructor also, never do the initialization through the hard coding. Okay.
okay.
You
Okay.
should not do any hard code. No
Oh,
industry accepts hard coding of the fields.
okay.
Okay. I will tell you
Like
why and all.
yes.
If you're not initializing as part of this, then what is the option for you to initialize these two fields? I will tell you in the coming topics. Clear?
Yes, yes, clear. I got it.
Okay. For others, is that clear? Constructors and object and class. Any doubts? Feel free. Okay. Be open. And if you understood, like you can say, yes, it's clear. So it will be good for me to continue with further. No response. Why so silent? I can see many participants. Yes, it will be good, like, no, if you talk, okay, so that I can understand like whether you are getting or not. Okay, if anything is required, I can re-explain. So if you are silent, my assumption would be you understood everything, and I will continue as it is in my flow. Okay, that's why I'm requesting. Please feel free. Yeah, thank you. Fine, we'll continue. Okay, that's what like constructors and object and class. So now we'll see the actual core OOPS concepts. Okay, there are, as we discussed before, the starting with the abstraction. So abstraction is nothing but hiding the implementation. Okay, so you are hiding that complete complexity. It is not projected, so you cannot understand like no how it is implemented. So in such cases, we'll go for the abstraction. So if you see, like let's take like uh, bike riding is there. So many people like bike or scooty. So we are familiar with that, right? So we know that like escalator is there. I mean, the switching on, right? Just we will kickstart, either kickstart or through the press button. We will do. Just we'll press that, but we don't know like how internally the flow is happening. So once we'll kickstart, where and all the call goes, like how the engine gets starts. So we don't see exactly, correct? That is the kind of like no implementing. I mean hiding that implementation. So we will see just high upper portion. Similarly, like car and something. So we'll just turn on the key actually. So it will get started either through single button press. But actually, in the actual reality, there are many things will be happening actually. So for starting that engine, there are many flows are there. Fuel should go and touch for the engine, and that's where that engine starts. Once engine starts, then only your vehicle starts. But we don't see all those things. Okay, that is a better example for the abstraction. Okay, the actual implementation is hidden. Okay, so we can use in many phases actually. Abstraction so hides the underlying complexity of data. So we don't get to know what is the complexity internally it is carrying. Okay, and also one more thing is it will avoid repetition. So I will tell you how it will avoid the repetition. Okay, and it just presents only the signature of internal functionality. So signature in the sense like how it looks like, but it will not tell like how it is exactly implemented. So it will not show. Means the signature of the internal functionality means like in case of the bike, just like start button is there. So that is a signature you can treat, but implementation is hidden. Okay, so to attain this abstraction in Java, there are two options. Okay, one is via the abstract classes. Okay, so abstract classes you can achieve 100% and you can achieve for 0 or 10% or 50% or anything. It's a kind of you can treat as a partial abstraction can be achieved by abstract classes. Okay, and through the interfaces you can achieve 100% abstraction. Okay, clear? Let me go for this. Okay, so as we discussed, so abstraction is can be achieved through two options. One is abstract classes and another one is interfaces. Okay, let me go through the high core topics, then I think detail I will go one by one. That you will get the better understanding if I do that. Okay, and another one is encapsulation. So encapsulation is nothing but providing the data security. Okay, allowing to protect the data stored in a class from system-wide access. Okay, so this if you see all bean classes, even in case of this Hibernate, or JPA, so EJBase. So wherever you see all the Spring, all bean classes are the example for this encapsulation. So what it will do is it will restrict the access to data members of a class. Okay, and whatever the fields are there, they are set to private. And so how we will set and get is by using this getter and setter methods. So because you cannot access directly, so they will be giving the different way to initialize those fields. Okay, getter methods return the field, setter methods like sets the value for that particular field. I will explain you programmatically how that happens. Okay, and another one is inheritance. So inheritance is nothing but like, so there will be one superclass is there and we can create multiple subclasses. So it's a kind of concept, generalization and specialization. So what happens is like our parent is there and we are there. So whatever the parents are holding, by default, we also will hold that. So, so all the parent properties and all, everything will be default like inherited for us. So that is the one thing. So why we are going for inheritance is like can extend another class by inheriting its feature. So what are all the features available in a single class that can be inherited to all other classes. Okay, we can see in general case where we can see is there is a common functionality is there. So that common functionality is required by many subclasses. So what we will do is instead of writing that particular common function in all subclasses, what we will do, we will define that in one superclass and any subclass can access it. So no need to write subclasses separately because it can be inherited. Okay, implements the dry programming principle. So there is a Java dry principle, which is don't repeat yourself. So you no need to write explicitly. So there is already somebody is there, you just get it from there. That's why like don't repeat. So we can treat as redundancy. Means redundancy means you don't need to rewrite the same code. So you can use it just by extending it. And that's where like down one improves code reusability. Okay. And also there are types of inheritance is there. I will explain you in detail. But the concept is means like inheritance is nothing but there will be parent and child relationship. So there's a parent class will be there. There's a subclass will be there. So what are the features the parent class is providing? All those things can be accessible for the subclass without having on its own. So like that, like our parents are having the house, right? So our father constructed the house. So being the child, we no need to construct the new house. Like by default, whatever the father constructed, we are utilizing it. So that's a very like real-time example of the inheritance. So another core topic is polymorphism. Polymorphism is nothing but, so there is an ability to perform multiple actions, okay, through different ways. Okay, single object is there which can able to perform like a certain action in many different ways. So that is called polymorphism. So in Java, we can achieve this. There are the two types of polymorphism is there: static polymorphism, dynamic polymorphism. So if we say in Java terminology, method overloading and overriding. So these are the two things like, so what it directly says is the same method name is used in several times. Different methods of the same name can be called from an object. All Java objects can be considered polymorphic. Static polymorphism in Java is implemented by method overloading. Dynamic polymorphism in Java is implemented by method overriding. So if you see high level, there are four core concepts. One is abstraction. Abstraction is nothing but hiding the complexity and just projecting the signature alone. Okay, that can be achieved by either abstract classes or interfaces. And the second topic is concept is encapsulation. Encapsulation is nothing but hiding the data, means you are not giving access, system-wide access to your particular fields. Okay, that is where data hiding. That is the encapsulation. So real-time example for encapsulation is there's a Java beans. Okay, and third one is inheritance. Inheritance is nothing but just as a parent and child relationship. So there will be one parent class will be there. So what are the features it is holding? Those all features can be accessed by the child class just by extending it without redoing. And the fourth topic is polymorphism. Polymorphism is nothing but performing the certain action through different ways. Okay, so is that clear? High level, what each topic is, what each OOPS topic is? If it is clear, I will continue with deeper experience on each topic. What is exactly each thing? I will talk.
Yes, I think it's
Yeah. Okay. First, let's go for inheritance. Okay. So as we mentioned there, so there are types of inheritances there. Means there's a single inheritance, multi-level inheritance, a hierarchical inheritance, hybrid inheritance, and multiple inheritance. So there are total 5 types of inheritance are there in Java. Okay. Let's talk about single inheritance. Single inheritance means there's a one parent, one child. That is called single. Okay, only one child is there, one parent is there. So in case of multi-level is like we can take our grandfather, father, and we. Okay, this is multi-level. Means there's a class A is there, there's a class B is extending the class A, and there is another class called C, which is extending the B. So this is called multi-level. Means it's a single, like no, if single action, if you keep like one more single here, that's a like multi-level, like more than one level. So single is nothing but single level, one level. Multi-level is nothing more than one level. Hierarchical in the sense, okay, you can treat as single parent with multiple childs. Okay, so there is a parent class, A is there, and there are 2 child classes are there for that, which is class B and class C. Another one is you can take as hybrid. So hybrid is nothing but it's a combination actually. It's a combination of multi-level and hierarchical is called hybrid. Means class A is there. So this we will treat as like no hierarchical what we have seen before. And this is like no like more than one child to single one. Like there's a class D is there, like no class B and class C. So this is called like combination actually is a hybrid. And multi-level is the multiple inheritance is the other one. There are 2 parents are there, one child. Okay, class A, class B, both are the parent classes, and class C is the child class, which is extending both the child classes. Okay, let me explain through programmatically how it looks. Yes. Okay. Let's take like here is the one single level. Single level means there is an animal class is there. Okay. So it is having the feature of eating. So there is a eating functionality is there. So see, real time, like how we will go for this inheritance is, let's take what is the common functionality. Okay. There's a dog is there. Okay. Within the dogs, there are certain types are there. Dog is there, cat is there, pig is there, lion is there, tiger is there. There are all of the common things. So what and all the common things are there in all those animals? Can somebody say?
legs,
Dog,
4 legs.
cat,
They are animals and
lion,
they have
pig. So legs, those are not common. Like few things can be present with the 2, few things with 4. So there can be category, but exactly common things are there. Means everything does that perform. It will do that. So what those is like eating. Okay? Sorry, somebody is talking. Hello. This is by mistake or somebody is asking question. Okay.
No, I think you.
Okay. Eating is a, see, every animal eats the food. Otherwise, it cannot live. Correct? Sleeping kind of functionality is there. Okay. So if you see there are some common things. There are some specialization for each animal. Okay. How the dog barks is a different compared with the cat barks. That is different compared with the lion. And that is same compared with the pig. Okay. Clear? Okay, that's where like, so the sleep eating is common here. So what I have taken here, so if I do one more this thing, so if without inheritance, what happens is plus dog. Okay, what it is there, void eat. This functionality should be there. And now plus cat is, sorry, class cat is there. So void eat. Even this should provide the implementation for this. And plus pig void eat. So if I won't define, means without inheritance, the problem is every class has to implement the same thing. So there is the eat function in the dog class, same eat function is there in the cat class, same eat function is there in the pig class. Okay. So the eating wise is common, like everything eats. Okay. In such cases, there is a benefit of inheritance. What I can do is I can define one class called animal. Like I can keep eat here. Okay. So now what happens is I no need to define in subclasses. So that is the main benefit. So in previously I was writing in 3 places in 3 classes. Now I will write in single class. All these 3 classes can extend that animal class. So directly it can able to get that functionality. So that way what is happening is the animal properties directly accessed here. Okay, it no need to rewrite. So this is what like avoiding the, I mean, reusability is the one thing, and don't repeat yourself, the drive principle. So I no need to repeat here. Instead, what I do, I just extends animal. That's it. So that functionality will be inherited for me. So that is the benefit of inheritance. So that is where like there's a single level. So inheritance will be achieved by using the extends keyword. So extends is represents that. Okay, this represents the subclass, and subclass is extending the superclass. So wherever if you want to implement inheritance in Java, you should use the extends keyword. Okay. So what I'm doing here, so we can treat like superclass is generalization and subclass is a specialization. So what and all the common are there, those are the generalized. We can keep it in the superclass, and specialization is there, which is very special for that particular thing. So that will keep in the child class. So what I'm doing here, So there is a animal class is there, which is the eat, and dog is a child class. So which is a barking. So it is like Bobo kind of, like it dog barks like Bobo. So what I'm doing, I'm creating the object for the dog class. I'm calling C. If you see the beauty here is the eat function is there. If you see, is there any eat function defined in the dog class? No, but still it can able to access. So that eat is defined in animal class. So because the dog is inherited the animal class, that's why it can able to call eat function of animal class by the dog object. Is it clear? So this is the way we will achieve the inheritance in Java. So the dog being the child of the animal, it already default like me by default it is inherited the features of the animal. So which is eat in this case. So we can see in our case like any properties or anything like whatever our parents are holding. So by extending from them, we will get as a default, like we no need to like do the again, like by default we will get their properties. So that's how we will achieve inheritance in Java. Is it clear here? Guys, please say yes or no.
Yes.
Yeah, like everybody should speak, like it will be good, like more interactive. And any doubts are there, like no, it will get clarified. It's fine, like
Okay, yes.
even if it is Telugu also, like you can talk, no issues. I can clarify.
Okay, yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
okay.
this is the single level, means one parent and one child. So whatever I have shown in the presentation, that is a single level, means one parent and one child. So now we will see for multi-level, how multi-level will be programmatically. Let's take. So there is an animal one is there, because same class I cannot keep in single class in my Eclipse. That's why I just rename. Okay. There is a one animal is there and dog is there. And what the animal is doing? So it's having the eat feature and dog is having the bark feature. So then I'm having baby dog. So that is having the separate feature as weep. So that will be weeping. So this is called like two level. This is the one level. So means class dog is extending the animal and baby dog is extending the dog. So this is a two level. So multi-level this is called. So how this happens is now baby dog can have the features of dog and animal. It's like you can treat as grandfather, okay, and father. So whatever the properties are there from the grandfather, the father gets by default, and we, being the child of the father, we will get the properties of both our grandfather and father. That's how it happens here. This baby dog will get the features of dog and animal both. You can see here, I have created object for the baby dog only, means for this one. But what baby dog can do, it can use its features. Weep is there from baby dog, and it can call the features of the dog, and at the same time, it can call the features of super class, which is animal one here. It's clear? This is how multi-level inheritance works in Java. So being like grandchild, I can access my parent and my grandparent. So those two features are everything like I can access. So this is the grandchild. So parent, child, child, I can treat as grandchild. So this is how multi-level inheritance is achieved in Java. Okay. Hierarchical inheritance we'll see here. So there's a one animal class, and this is a higher parent. It is having the feature of eat, and there is a dog, is a child of animal, which is having the feature of bark. And now if you see here, there is a cat. Okay, what this cat will do? I mean, the making sound is different for the cat and bark. See, the barking happens only for the dog. Dog only will bark, but cat, what it will do? The making sound is meow meow, right? So only dog barks and cat meow meow. So how this differentiate is, let's take, I explained before, like there is a common things. So there are three objects are there, like there's a dog, cat is there, dog is there. So between these two things, there are some things are common, like both do the same thing. So eating kind of, okay. But when it comes for the making sound, each one is having the different sound. Means like dog will give in one kind of sound and cat will give another kind of sound. So in these kind of cases, we cannot keep this sound function here. So void sound. I cannot define single function here. Sys out like no sound. This is the wrong implementation for me, because if I keep like this, the sound here, because I'm generalizing means, okay, being as a parent, so whoever is extending me, the sound is like this. So everyone, the sound is common. So in such cases only we should define here the feature. But in this case, the sound is different between dog and cat. So dog will be doing bow bow and cat will be doing meow meow kind of. So there is a different functionality between these two things. So those things will go for the specialization for each subclass, but we'll keep only the generalized one. So this is a generalized between dog and cat. Those things only I will keep here. This is the hierarchical. In such cases, we'll go. So what we'll do, cat will say, I created the cat object. So cat can call meow. It's specialization, and being the parent of child of animal, it can call the eat. So similarly, but the cat cannot call the bark function. It cannot call. So it's a compiled error because it is not inheriting from dog. So that is the problem. So it can get only the properties of its parent. It cannot get others properties. Clear? This is the hierarchical inheritance. So there is another one is hybrid inheritance. Okay, we can take as there's a grandfather is there. Just I'm printing. There's a one function. This is a grandfather's class. Okay, then there is a father is there. He is extending the grandfather. So he is printing the father like so. There's a son is there who is extending the father. Okay, then so within that father there are like multiple. So there is a son, there is a daughter. It's a kind of, so means it's a combination actually. If you see what are the single and multi-level, both are included here. Means hierarchical and multi-level, both are mixed means that is the hybrid inheritance. It's nothing but there is a multi-level is there, means there's a grandfather is there, and from grandfather there's a father is there. That is one level of inheritance, and from there it's a combination of like hierarchical means for the parents there are two sons are there, means either two sons or like one son and daughter, both are there. That is the where hybrid inheritance. Okay, so this is one level. Okay, means single level or multi-level, we can take anything in this. Okay, and this is there as a hierarchical. So means single father class, there are two child classes, one is son and daughter. So both can access the properties of the father and their grandfather, everything. So it's nothing but just combination. So whatever we have seen above. So there's a son object is there. It can call like no father, it can call the grandfather. Similarly, daughter is there. This daughter also like accessing daughter's class accessing father's class, accessing grandfather's class. So both will be having the access of it. This is the hybrid inheritance. Okay. There is a one more missing portion is multiple inheritance in Java. So we cannot achieve multiple inheritance in Java directly. Why? Because I will tell you, there is a class A is there. So it is having some message function, and class B is there. It is also having the message function. So multi-level means there is a one child which is extending multiple parents. Okay. So class C gets the properties of A, class A, and also class B properties. So when the problem, real problem here is, I have created the C object here. And if you call this dot message, okay, this message feature is available in both the things and along with their implementation. So here the ambiguity will be coming. So which implementation I should take? Whether class implementation I should take or class B implementation I should take. So that is the problem. So that we will call as diamond problem in Java. So there will be interview questions like this is a common interview question. So what is the diamond problem in Java? So that diamond problem will be achieved through multiple inheritance. So multiple inheritance is not supported because of diamond problem. Okay. What is the diamond problem is, there are multiple parent classes are there and both are having the same properties. When the child it comes, it cannot understand like which implementation it should call, whether class implementation it should call or class B implementation it should call. So it is not having the clarity. So that is called diamond problem. Clear? So we cannot achieve multiple inheritance directly. So to achieve multiple inheritance, we have to go for interfaces. Through interfaces, we can achieve the multiple inheritance. Okay. How we will see in the next class. Because before going for the interfaces, like I will cover the abstraction so that you will understand like, you know, what is the signature and all. Then I will come for this multiple inheritance as part of the abstraction. So that like you will be in the sequence, you will understand. Any doubts in inheritance and types of inheritance and its practical aspects of each type? అందరికి అర్థమైందా? ఎవరికన్నా సమ్మరీ ఎక్స్ప్లెనేషన్ కావాలా? ఎనీ డౌట్స్ అంటే ఏమైనా డౌట్స్ ఏమైనా ఉన్నాయా?
Okay, bro.
What about others? Any doubts?
No, it's no, bro.
No. Still.
So is it clear?
Yeah, okay, clear.
Bro, yes, bro. It's clear.
Okay, so you are able to follow, right? Or you need any change or any translations in between? Anything is required?
Not same.
What about others? Chandrasekhar, Sardar,
It's good, bro. I think it's better.
Murali, Somu, Vijay Lakshmi, Subhash. It will be better like everyone tells like no. So whether you understood clearly or did you miss anything or any doubts? I'll be happy to clear your doubt.